Our next speaker, Iona Rendall, is a full-time nurse. So she understands the importance of being outdoors and active from a physical and an emotional point of view, probably better than anybody. She's set up an online community of over 2,000 members who can all tell their stories of their everyday adventures. Can you please welcome Iona Rendall to the stage?
My name's Iona, and Berghaus invited me along, which is so mad because I've only been hill walking for a few years. So I'm very nervous, bear with me. I've got a friend in the audience called Jessica, who's 8. Where are you? Yay, Jessica! She's here with her mum, and she gives me and her mum into trouble when we accidentally say a naughty word in front of her. Jessica, I'm really nervous. I'm not going to swear, but I am pooping my pants. So take from that what you will. This is me, and if you follow me on Instagram, you might know me as Iona Adventuring. You'll probably see my photos, and I look very confident and capable when I'm out hill walking. That confidence has taken a long time for me to build up. So as a kid, and especially as a teenager, I was a very shy, self-conscious person. And as a teenager, that's a pretty tough time. So it's taken me a long time to get to a point where I have some amount of confidence. And that's basically what I'm going to talk about, and how I've got into walking and how that's kind of improved my confidence as well. So this is me, and the photo on the right was a Monroe that I did last summer. And it was really difficult getting this photo because I set my phone up on a self-timer, and that's actually really zoomed in, so my phone was miles away, and I set my self-timer, and it was like a 10-second time, and if you've ever done that, it's pretty tricky. So it was about 50 attempts. And the photo on the left is from a recent expedition, which I'll speak about as well. So growing up, I lived in the countryside in Aberdeenshire, which is in Scotland, and I left school and joined the police, which was a bit crazy at the time because as a shy individual, I didn't know how I was ever going to arrest anybody, but apparently I did, and I did not enjoy it. So after I left the police, I moved to Aviemore, which is in the Cairngorms National Park in Scotland, and as a teenager, I hadn't been outdoorsy at all, and I hadn't even been sporty. I was too shy to join clubs and to be part of a team. So I found myself living in Aviemore, surrounded by this beautiful scenery. If you've ever been there, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's like the Lake District, but a bit bigger. No offence. That's not a good thing to say. Basically, I started going out and exploring this new area that I was living in, and I used to look up at these huge mountains that surrounded me, and I used to think, oh, it'd be so cool to go hill walking, but I'm not that kind of person. You know, they're really professional, they know what they're doing. That's not me. And Aviemore is a bit like Kendal in that everybody's wearing a down jacket, and I didn't own a down jacket, so I didn't know what it was. And, you know, everybody looked really professional to me, and I thought, you know, I'll just leave that to them. That's what they do. That's not me. And I was always looking up at the mountains thinking that would be amazing. And it took 5 years of living in Aviemore for me to finally go up my first hill. And I'll show you the next photo in a wee second, but at the time, I wouldn't have been able to tell you the difference between a Monroe and a molehill. I just didn't know what this Monroe was. For anybody else that doesn't know, it's a mountain in Scotland that's over 3,000 feet. And a friend of mine dragged me up there. And dragged is a good word because despite this photo of me laughing at the top, I complained nearly the entire time up that mountain. That's not an exaggeration. It was windy, it was so steep, it was boggy, it was heathery. There might have been some rain at some point as well. And yeah, I realised why I hadn't been hill walking all this time, because apparently I hated it. Got to the top, and actually it was really good fun once we got there. And I obviously look back on that memory now with rose-tinted glasses because it ignited this passion in me to discover the hills and to actually try it. And standing on top of that first Monroe, I kind of thought, do you know what? I thought this wasn't my kind of thing, yet here I am. That was in September 2016, so that was only a few years ago. And I started doing a lot more hill walking, and I now work as a nurse. So not long, about a year after this photo, I moved to Edinburgh for my job as a nurse, and ironically away from the mountains. And that's when I started doing a lot more hill walking. And I did it all on my own because, apart from my friend who took me up that first hill, I didn't know anybody to go hill walking with. And I was kind of happy just doing it on my own because, you know, the shy person doesn't like being part of a team or part of a group and things like that. So I just did it on my own. And I set up my Instagram account and I posted my photos, and I was always getting comments from people saying, wow, you're so brave doing that on your own, and I'd love to try that sometime. And they're like, are you not scared doing that on your own? And I thought, I don't really have a choice because I don't know anybody else that does it, so I'll just continue on my own. And I decided that actually this was maybe the right time to start finding other people to go out exploring with. And on a complete whim, I don't know what I was thinking at the time, I set up a Facebook group, and I decided to invite people to come walking with me, not on a professional level because obviously I didn't have a clue what I was doing, but it was more just like the social aspect and connecting like-minded people who I could go out walking with. And I decided last summer that I would sign up for my mountain leader training. And one of the hurdles that I faced was logging quality mountain days as part of a group. And I thought, okay, my Facebook group means that I will have people to go walking with and I can log my quality mountain days. So in August last year, I organised my first group in the Pentland Hills, which is just outside Edinburgh, so about 500 metres, that's the highest one. And I was really nervous beforehand. And I thought, oh my gosh, what if nobody arrives? What if nobody even turns up? And then I thought, what if they turn up and they don't like me? What if they don't like each other? What if we have nothing to talk about for 3 hours? What if we just walk in silence? And I was so nervous, and all of this is going through my head. And actually, this is the photos from that first night, and it was so beautiful. I mean, look at the light on those hills. It's just amazing. And I realised within 10 minutes that I had nothing to worry about because there was, I think, 8 of us there. And within 10 minutes, everybody was chatting and laughing, and somebody had their dogs with them, and they were the centre of attention, and it was just the best thing ever. And the photo on the right, I kind of stood back, and I looked at everybody, and I was like, I did this. I brought these people together, these complete strangers, and within, you know, half an hour of walking, we just looked like friends, and it was such an amazing feeling. And since then, organised lots of different group walks, and other people in the walking group have also organised walks as well. And since then, I've gone on lots of different group walks, lots of different conditions as well. Nothing too wintry and nothing too extreme, but there's an unofficial rule that we have to take a summit selfie. If you're not in the summit selfie, you weren't on the group walk. And as you can see, you know, all of these smiling faces, but at the start of each walk, pretty much everyone is there as a complete stranger. And you wouldn't know it going by these photos because everybody just looks like such a team, and they just look like they're friends already. And that's, you know, just a few hours on the hill. One of the things that I've found is when you're walking alongside people, it breaks down that communication barrier. So, you know, I find that face-to-face confrontation can be, you know, it can be quite difficult for people, especially if it's a complete stranger. Whereas when you're walking alongside somebody, conversation just seems to flow so naturally. And, you know, I can see people nodding their heads in agreement. And there's just something about walking alongside someone that you don't need to see their facial expression and they don't need to see yours. And I think that's really important. I found myself having all sorts of different conversations with people, you know, so many different people from backgrounds and amazing jobs that, you know, I didn't even know existed. And you find out all these incredible things about people and, you know, talk a lot about mental health as well, because it's no secret that being outside and being active is obviously really good for your mental health. And people have spoken to me about depression, anxiety, and a whole host of different things, different trauma that people have gone through. And that's really powerful, and that's something that's really special. And I know myself that that walking and being outside is so good for my own mental health as well. And like Lee was saying, you know, with a nursing background, I know the physical benefits of being active, but also the mental benefits as well as the emotional side of it. And yeah, that's just something that's really important to me. Since I set up the walking group, I've received quite a lot of support, obviously from people who are in the adventure community, people who've joined the group because it's open to anyone, no matter experience or age or whatever your background is. And that support is really important to me, but I've also received quite a lot of support from different brands and organisations as well. So whether they have provided kit to enable me to get outside, a lot of discounts on kit for everybody within the adventure community as well, which is really important because it can be an expensive hobby when you're just starting out. So to be able to help and enable somebody to get the kit that they really need is something that's really important to me. As well as that, there was a company last year called Three Peaks Africa who have rebranded as Three Peaks Adventure. They approached me and asked if I wanted to go on an expedition with them, and I was like, an expedition? Are you joking? I just do some hills in Scotland. And they offered to take me on the Three Peaks Morocco trip. And even more amazingly, they asked me to recruit a team of 15 people from my walking group. And I thought, this is it. This is my opportunity to really do something amazing. And, you know, bearing in mind that only 3 years ago I did my first Monroe, and I was like, if I can do this and show people that I can show that anybody can. So I started recruiting my team, and some of them are in the audience tonight, which is amazing. And, you know, nobody had ever climbed at altitude or hiked at altitude before. And I don't think anybody had actually, apart from a couple of people, nobody had even been on mountains abroad before. So it was pretty amazing to know that 10 months of recruiting this team, and we were all just average, everyday people working really average, everyday jobs. And in September, we went out to Morocco, September this year, and we summited the 3 highest mountains in North Africa, which was absolutely incredible because they were all over 4,000 metres, and it was just insane, but the best kind of insane. I'm just going to prepare this slide in advance. So that's the 3 mountains that we did, and that's the order that we did them in. And this photo was taken on the 3rd and final mountain, and just at the very left, the highest point that you can see there, that's Mount Toubkal, which we had just done the previous day. So to stand on top of that amazing final mountain and look across at another mountain in North Africa that we had summited at altitude was absolutely insane. And that trip was absolutely life-changing for me. And I think it's safe to say it was life-changing for the rest of the guys as well. Yeah, they're nodding. 16 complete strangers that signed up for that expedition. And we were just like a family, totally bonded family who went through absolutely everything together. And, you know, we all documented it on social media, the training and the expedition. And it was professionally filmed and photographed, which was sponsored by Berghaus, which was amazing. And that's being released, I think, in December. So we have produced this film which showcases, you know, these 16 really average, normal people going out to North Africa and summiting the 3 highest peaks. And I think if we can show that, you know, we can do it, and none of us had any experience, I think it shows what everybody's capable of as well. And yeah, that's been pretty life-changing, and Berghaus have been a massive support in that. And obviously it's that kind of connection with being outside, and I didn't connect to the internet at all while we were away, and we had that connection with the outdoors and the disconnection from social media, which was really important because in this day and age, you know, I know that I share quite a lot on social media, and I know that other people do as well. And it's just nice to kind of take a break from it and really switch off and just enjoy your surroundings and enjoy connecting with other human beings as well, because we've got a tendency to sort of forget about that a little bit. Obviously, after doing Morocco, you know, there's that kind of drive within me to do some kind of other expedition and to push myself physically and mentally and emotionally. I've not decided what yet, but just now I'm really happy continuing with my walking group. And when I was training for Morocco, I kind of drifted away from the group walks a bit because I was trying to train doing longer walks and bigger mountain days, and I didn't always think it was appropriate for the walking group, because for the social aspect it's just nice to do a hill that's manageable for everybody. And since coming back, I've got back into the group walks, and it's just so nice meeting up with complete strangers. We went out last weekend, and even yesterday we went out with a group in one of the local hills here, and there's just something so special about turning up in a car park with a load of strangers and being like, "Hi, I'm Iona," giving everyone a hug and setting off up this mountain together. And yeah, that's something that really means a lot to me, the fact that people turn up and, you know, are happy to just be friends with you straight away. It's really empowering. And with each mountain that I've done, including obviously Morocco, but just with each mountain in Scotland, and that includes as well the little hills that are outside Edinburgh, each of those is like an achievement for me, and each achievement is a massive confidence boost to be able to show yourself that you're capable of something that just a matter of years ago you couldn't actually see yourself doing. I think that's something that's really special, and I never take that for granted as well. And I like to remind people, especially on social media, that I'm not a professional and I still haven't done my mountain leader training. That's something that I'm hoping to work towards next year. But I think it's really important to remind people that I'm pretty much a novice at this. Yes, I went out on expedition, but there was local guides and there was a team of people who were looking after us. I didn't organise that, and I certainly didn't lead it. I was just part of a team, and anybody can be part of a team. The walking group's been really important for me, and it's really nice to have people message me to say that, you know, I've helped to create friendships, to create partnerships. There's some couples that have come from the group as well. Can't wait for the first Iona's Adventures wedding. And it's really amazing for people to contact me to say that I've helped to enable these friendships, but I've also got a lot out of it as well. And I've obviously made countless friends through the group, and you know, the people that I grew up with as a teenager, going through that phase where I was really shy and really self-conscious, they're not my friends nowadays. It's the people that I've met in the recent years through adventure. The only person that's in the crowd that knows me from before my walking group is my boyfriend. Everybody else who's come along to support me, they've come through my walking group or through social media, and that's really powerful. When I've rehearsed my talk, I've cried at this point. When I've been in bed, when I've been driving, when I've been practicing, I think I've cried out all my tears because I don't feel too emotional just now. There's still time. So yeah, I mean, being able to empower people to go out on these adventures and to seek out something that, you know, they might have thought was unachievable, I never take that for granted, that I'm that person that's kind of facilitating that. I'm not leading the walk and I'm not teaching the skills, but I'm setting the date and the time and the location, and it's just as simple as that, and I absolutely love it. I can't remember what the next slide is. Oh, there we go. As part of the kind of general health and well-being that I've been speaking about with walking, I use a hashtag on social media that says sunshiny happiness. I don't think sunshiny is even a word, but I'm claiming it. And basically, it's obviously those hill days when you're on top of a mountain and it's beautiful sunshine and it's blue skies and it's stunning views. But at the same time, you get those days on the hills where the view isn't good and it's a bit windy and it's a bit dreich in Scotland, and you've got a bit of rain and a bit of cloud cover, but you can still find some kind of happiness in that day. And a lot of the times that's from the people that you're with, and you kind of draw from their strengths and their powers. And yeah, I kind of apply sunshiny happiness to my life in general. I think there's always something good that you can find even in like the darkest days and the darkest corners. And I think if you strive for that and if you look for the happiness all the time, you can't really go far wrong. I'm not saying it's positive and it's sunshine and rainbows every day, but I think you've always got some kind of sunshiny happiness. And that's sort of what I strive for. And my walking group's got 2,000 members now, which is amazing in just over a year. But I think it shows that, you know, by broadcasting the fact that, you know, I'm working full-time as a nurse and I still manage to get out and adventure and get out and explore, I think people really relate to that, because we spend a lot of time at kind of festivals like this watching elite athletes and sponsored athletes. Don't get me wrong, they're absolutely amazing, but they dedicate their lives to that and they train day in, day out for that. It's not achievable for me, and it's not achievable for a lot of people. You've got to work your everyday normal life, and I think there's a lot of adventure to be found out with your everyday normal. So yeah, adventure is what you make it, whether it is an expedition or abroad, or whether it is just going out for a wee walk in the local park or local hills and things like that. There's definitely an adventure to be found, and plenty of sunshiny happiness. Thank you.